I'm Clover Frederick, your host of Shape of the City. Now, we've heard childhood obesity being referred to as an epidemic. In fact, a recent study at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln found that overweight children ages 2 to 5 years old were 5 times more likely to still be overweight at the age of 12 than their counterparts. Now, a local program called Growing Great Beginnings is combating the problem. And here with me today are Jill Bomberger and Ruth Burke of Community Action Partnership. Hello and welcome.
Morning. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Now, Jill, let's start with you. Can you tell us just a little bit about Community Action Partnership's Early Head Start program?
Sure. So Early Head Start and Head Start are comprehensive early childhood programs that we run in Lancaster and Saunders County. We serve 710 children. In our Early Head Start home-based program, we serve 140 children ages 0 to 3 as well as expecting families. These families receive weekly home visits from family educators like Ruth. And really the focus of those visits is to empower parents to support their children's development and really promote their school readiness and success in kindergarten and beyond. One of the things that's unique about Early Head Start and Head Start is that we have a focus on the whole child and family. So not only are we talking about sort of the typical school readiness that people think about, but also children's health, mental health, nutrition, and family services as well.
Okay, very good. Now, tell me about Growing Great Beginnings. It's a relatively new program. Tell me where the idea came from.
Back in about early 2013, we started looking at some of the needs of participants in our program, and we were seeing that relatively few children in our program were eating adequate numbers of fruits and vegetables. They were having lots of sugar-sweetened drinks, or more than is good for them. Also, parents were telling us that I think we had less than 25% of our parents who themselves ate recommended numbers of healthy foods. We also saw some troubling numbers of children who were exiting our Head Start programs going to kindergarten who had high BMIs. The interesting thing that we found at the time was the number one thing parents told us they wanted to learn about was nutrition. So that was perfect. And we started looking at what was out there and how we could help empower parents to be able to provide good choices for their children and establish healthy eating patterns. One of the things we found was that most of the curriculum and materials that were available were for preschool-age children and children who were in child care settings. And we were seeing children at that age already having concerns that we wanted to work with. So we partnered with local organization Teach a Kid to Fish, who's pretty much the expert in that. And they worked with us to develop a curriculum for use in our home-based program so that our family educators could go in there and work with parents to help teach them not only sort of what the recommendations are, but how do you do that as your child is developing and growing and being sure to establish those healthy eating patterns and feeding behaviors and things like that.
Okay, very good. Now, you mentioned BMI. That's body mass index,
Yes.
and it's one of the ways that you can measure. So that kind of leads me to the next question. What
Sure.
are some of the ultimate measurable goals of this program?
So our long-term goal is definitely to prevent obesity and overweight, which is measured by BMI, but it's also in the more short term to establish those healthy behaviors that we know are associated with that. So things like making sure that children are eating adequate numbers of fruits and vegetables, making healthy dairy choices, things like making sure that families are engaged in lots of physical activity and cutting down on screen time, and then definitely cutting back those sugary beverages.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, the program has been going on for a little while now, so have you been able to reach some of those goals?
Yeah, we've had some exciting impacts in our first. We sort of did a pilot project where we tracked a lot of data and wanted to see how well the intervention was working. We saw a 23% increase in the number of children who were eating appropriate numbers of fruits and vegetables, and then a 27% decrease in the percentage of children who were drinking sugary beverages. So we felt excited about that. We also saw increases in physical activity and water consumption and decreases in screen time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Are there certain populations in the community that you're working with most?
Sure, we work with a really diverse population, and we serve low-income families in our community. Just about half of the families in our program speak English. We have about 35% who speak Middle Eastern languages and about 15% that speak Spanish. Also in our pilot project, about 17% of those families had been homeless at some point during the year, so just a wide variety of needs.
Okay. What are some of the biggest challenges you're seeing in getting this program out to the community?
Sure. So, some of the things that are most important for families are things that organizations like Teach a Kid to Fish work on, but things like making sure that families are getting consistent messages from their medical providers and child care providers in schools, as well as just access to food, so people having healthy food options in their neighborhood and then the resources to be able to obtain those. And of course, like with any type of well-being, stressors like domestic violence or housing instability really impact a family's ability to be able to sustain these types of things when they're just trying to make it day to day.
Okay. Well, it sounds like the program's already had some great impact. Mm-hmm. What's coming in the future for this program?
So we're very excited with the support of the Community Health Endowment of Lincoln. We're going to be revising the curriculum to make sure that it's got the most up-to-date information and really hone in on the things that worked well and change the things that weren't as impactful in the first round. We'll also be translating it into Arabic. We already have it in Spanish and English, but we'll be translating to Arabic. And we'll be doing some expansion of the program as well to make the lessons more appropriate for the ages 3 to 5 as well. And then with support of Community Health Endowment and Partnership for a Healthy Lincoln, we're very excited to be bringing on a nutrition coach who will be able to work one-on-one in depth with some of those families that are at the greatest risk for obesity. Maybe they can go into their homes and work with them on whatever that family's particular need is. So if parents just have never cooked, weren't raised around cooking, really were raised eating unhealthy foods, they can go in and help them just work through it incrementally, or whatever the need is for that particular family. So we're excited to be able to bring that to the families in both our Early Head Start and Head Start programs.
Okay, great. Now, Ruth, let's talk to you a little bit. You're a family educator with Community Action Partnership. So tell us, what are some of the challenges that you face working with families?
In this program, probably some of the biggest challenges was the things that family, making the changes that families would like to change. So when you change the kinds of foods that you eat or the amount of TV that you're watching, how do you substitute different behaviors for those that you're used to? That's hard for families.
Okay. Where have you seen probably the most positive change happening amongst families?
I think in the families, seeing that the amount of sugar, that's one of the things that we had a kit about, how much sugar is hidden in soda as well as juice and candy, and it's surprising how much sugar is in there. And so when families see the sugar amounts that are in those food items, they have a greater tendency to change that, and that's been exciting.
Oh, good. Now, do you have a success story you can share with us?
We do, actually. We have one family, she has several children. One of the children, she was about 9 at the time, and her cholesterol at that time even was high. And she made those changes of more fruits and vegetables, using olive oil as she was cooking, and she saw her daughter's cholesterol go to a normal level, as well as some weight loss in the family. And she's so excited about it that she wants to share those, be a coach, so to speak, with other families and encourage them to do those healthy things like breastfeeding babies and eating fruits and vegetables and using olive oil. And it's exciting to see that in a family.
That is exciting. Is there anything that we didn't cover here that you want to make sure that the community of Lincoln knows about this program?
I would just you say one of the things that we're really focusing on this is not only teaching parents what the best practice recommendations are, but how do you do that, because it's not easy. I mean, any person who's tried to make a change in their life knows that it's a challenge to change habits, but we're really trying to work with families to say, how do you do this as your toddler is throwing tantrums and you're trying to establish healthy meal times, and how do you what are some specific strategies you can implement, and really not only give the information, but teach families how to do this and help children develop those eating habits and patterns and preferences that are going to take them through their whole life.
Very good. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of exciting things going on. We look forward to hearing more of those success stories. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, now stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to hear about some really great safety tips for when you're out on the bike trail this winter.